I don't know if it's too cliche to say like the strong Christian and that type of mentality. Just some philosophical thoughts on and stylistic as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Messiah definitely has the Messiah men's soccer program has definitely bought into two sides of a coin. On the one side is just brilliant ball movement. We do play with, Dutch wingers. It helps us possess the ball, spread out our opponents. But yeah, I mean, I think the other side of that coin is just a competitive fire, is the toughness, physical toughness, mental toughness, emotional toughness needed to be successful. And yeah, I think, the quote, Messiah's not tough enough to win a national championship is something that we talk about every year, because there's nothing that's going to make you soft than winning. And, we have to combat that year in and year out in order to be able to maintain the level of play.
Basis of our program as far as style of play is a high demand on technical ability. And it's something we train every day. And I think what we've done, and I think this goes, again, back to Coach Brandt, in that we have really defined probably 6, 7, 8 things that a Messiah player needs to be able to do on the field technically, from turning to passing to receiving correctly. Just there's some real basic things, and that's what the game boils down to. And we always say there's nothing magical in what we do, but it turns out magical with how we play, because I think it's very simplistic, and we train that way. And everything we do in our training session is really built around integrating it into the system of play. So there's very little like just playing keep away for the sake of playing keep away. It's very intentional with how we train, and it's always as it relates to the game itself. And I think it's become very efficient.
Differences and the similarities between coaching men and women, I don't know if that's different at Messiah just because of the environment here and the atmosphere.
The difference between coaching men and women probably isn't as great as some people see it as being. I think within the game, there isn't a ton of difference other than, the speed of play and I think, the range that the female can play over, distance that they play. But as far as technical and tactical, I think it's very, very similar. On the leadership side, there is a bit of a difference. I think one of the best articles I ever read was about, if you can get a team to train like women and play like men, it's a great combination, because women love to train. They love to do things correctly over and over again. Guys struggle with that, and I think that's something I always say that the men's team has grasped a hold of that most men's team don't. They're willing to train and do something again and again, but to get women to compete, again and again, is sometimes a challenge in some programs. But in our program, I'll be honest, it's one of those things that they've really have embraced, because you're right. There was a time when before we won it, in the recruiting process, it was you can go to Messiah, but you're never going to win it there. It's sort of, a little bit of a fire, like, why can't we win it here? And it was, to the illusion of, you're not tough enough. You won't get it done in the end. And I think we were able to step across that line to really compete day in and day out.
It is interesting. I mean, I think that's one of the things that Dave did, I think, model for me, and Scott mentioned this, where what we did in our training sessions was applicable to the games. Sometimes there's disconnect there. But, for us, man, we work really, really hard at paying attention to the small details and doing those things really well. And that's just, there's a lot of technical work that we spend time on where other programs maybe not so much. And I think as a result, we get players and we teach them to be efficient within our system. And so we get a lot of kids that are able to contribute. And during their time here, they find ways to get on the field because we're confident in their ability, because they've become efficient within our system of play. Messiah is a Christian school. It's who we are. It's what we're all about. I think the college as a whole wants to integrate, faith into the classroom and into the dorms. And the athletic department is the same way. I think for us as coaches and as an athletic department, we want our faith to be a part of our everyday life. And if that means soccer, yeah, it's evident there. And I think it shows up in a variety of different ways. Strongest being in how guys relate to one another, how guys relate to people on opponents, how guys relate to coaches. And I think that's where, we want to be able to love the people around us, and I think that's huge.
The aspect of how the players relate to one another, how they conduct themselves on the field, it's not one of those things that we will overtly have a conversation of, say, like, our goal's not to get a yellow card. Because that's something outside of our control. But it is within our control how we react to a call, a foul, a conversation on the field. That's within our control, and that's something that is important to us. And I think it is different. And it's a high standard for that our players are asked to walk, of how they not only relate to one another, but how they relate to officials and their opponent. And I think it plays out. I think it shows evidently on the field that they have something else that's important to them besides playing the game well.
I think the opportunity for us to have an impact on the college and the community is something that's important to us. I think that's a core value that we have is we're cognizant of that. And we believe that we can model what it looks like to compete really hard, yet still be disciplined and still play with sportsmanship as opposed to gamesmanship. And I think there's opportunities to be had at camp. There's opportunities to be had with outreach that we have in the local community. And there's also opportunities for us to have on the national stage when somebody watches our team play and notice that we're not fouling intentionally, we're not yelling at the ref, we're not yelling at each other. We don't have those types of things that is evident in a lot of other teams. And so, I think that comes with the discipline and the level of buy-in and guys being committed to the program and to each other.
The people who have been impacted by this program, I think as coaches we get so myopic in our current players and whatever. And so to see what those players are doing, and I think one of the things that we've done in our program is we've asked at times players just to write a letter back. And it's really been neat to see the impact that the program and just the experience that they've shared with their teammates and how it has impacted them in their lives. Our alumni who keep in constant contact, who call back and just say, what's going on in the program and how it has affected them. It's just fun to read those emails, and it always alludes to, like, I learned this during my time here at Messiah, and it has helped me in my everyday life and with my kids and with my work. And I think that's when you realize as a coach what we're doing is so much more than winning games and playing soccer. Different players and different eras even, to see that even, from 10 years ago to 5 years ago to even just graduated. We stay around here longer and longer. It is becoming starting that second generation. What's been neat for me is I've had the privilege of coaching my roommate's kid and Dave Brandt's daughter, and just that next era, for them to have walked through it. We're at that space where, at our age, their kids are coming of this age, and they value, like, they want their kid to have the same experience that they've had. And that's exciting to know that this Messiah experience and program has meant that much to them, that they desire the same thing for their kid as well.
I think one of the main goals that Aaron Farrah, my assistant coach, and I have is we want to impact our kids. That when they're done their 4 years, they're a better person, a better dad, a better employer, employee, and and I think it happens. I think this impactful. I think there are kids that they come in and they're dramatically different when they leave here, and I think that's normal for a lot of college age. To go from 18 to 22 is a time where you mature and you grow up, but we want that to be magnified here. And there's definitely been opportunities and stories where, for me to look back and see what a kid looked like when he came in as an 18-year-old freshman, and what he's doing now in his life as a 30-year-old, as a businessman or as a teacher or as a fellow coach, it's been amazing. I mean, we've got a number of coaches that are around. Gary Dundas is a coach up at Goucher. Dan Visser's an assistant coach at Eastern. Ben Jordan just finished up a graduate assistantship up at St. Lawrence. Jason Spotnick had done some coaching at CVCA and won some state championships out there. So we've definitely had a number of coaches, and I think we'll continue to have that opportunity of players going and saying, hey, I want to be able to have the ability to have an impact on young people's lives.